In this week's Poke Adjacent segment, our not persuasive and barely informative, just purely homage Poke Adjacent topic, we want to talk just a smidge about Goosebumps because it's Spooktober. It's October
Oh
30th.
my
It
God,
feels right.
yes.
I would like to give just the stupidest level Wikipedia high level intro to Goosebumps. It was 235 plus children's horror fiction books from 1992 to till today. If you count spin-offs, they're still kind of going. It's
Yep.
cumulatively the best-selling series behind Harry Potter. So cumulatively, there's 230 of them or whatever, so that kind of makes sense. It's, as you might guess, it's inspired by the old Tales of the Crypt comics. There were several kinds of TV shows and things, but I think the most common TV show that you and I will remember is from 1995 to 1998, and it had a killer opening soundtrack with a really stupid opening video, and I'm going to put part of that in right here. Yeah, so killer, it's iconic. The music is great. The dog's eyes turning green and the barks with it are stupid, and I love it. And then it overall, if I have one regret, it's that we probably should have done Are You Afraid of the Dark first. I didn't realize until I was reading up on this a little bit that Are You Afraid of the Dark came first. And it's not to say that it was the first children's horror or whatever, but it came in like 90, and then Goosebumps books started in like 1982, and they were powered by Scholastic. Scholastic was just plastered full of Goosebumps, and they were working together, and it was great. And then Scholastic eventually got Harry Potter and didn't really need Goosebumps anymore. But that's sort of the rise of Goosebumps. Jesse, I was hoping if you would tell me about some of your favorite memories, or maybe your favorite Goosebumps books or TV episodes.
Yep. I mostly remember. I don't remember the TV stuff very well, but I do remember because even when I was in elementary school, which is like 1996 through 2000 and something, Goosebumps are still incredibly popular, and I remember reading several of them, and that was like one of the popular. It was one of the ones that, like, even though it was like by the time I had book fairs, um, Scholastic was still selling reprints of Goosebumps books because it was still popular. So often I'd get like my Artemis Fowl books, which is usually the big thing that I wanted.
We will cover Artemis Fowl in a Poke Adjacent someday. Absolutely. Sooner than later, probably. It's great.
So much better than Harry Potter, but we're not
Oh,
ready for
you
that
shut. No,
conversation.
I'm about to mute you right now.
Well, that's true. Right, you're not ready for that conversation, Sean.
I am because I
Um,
saw that movie, Jesse.
how dare you bring up that kind of thing? That makes me
How
so
dare
angry.
you? I'm sorry to interrupt.
Anyway, apart from that terrible movie, I picked up Artemis Fowl books and I picked up Goosebump reprints at Scholastic book fairs. And I remember like Say Cheese and Die is a big one, Night of the Living Dummy, Curse of the Monster Tomb, The Haunted Mask. Um, those are some of the big ones I remember. I'm scrolling through to remember which other ones. Um, I also feel like there was a collection of, and I can't find any evidence of this, but I'm very positive it existed. There was a short story collection of Goosebumps books. Um, and oh yes, I am right. Um, there were also some like choose your own adventure
You
Goosebumps
choose the
books.
scare.
Yes,
I'm going to talk
and
about those for a
and
moment.
I loved those.
I do too. No,
We never read
let's
those.
talk about them right now, Jesse, because I love them.
Okay, we never read those at school because I think they were too scary to
Well, they
give
don't
us.
qualify. Like you can't really write a book report on a choose your
No,
own. Yeah.
exactly. But I picked those up at yard sales mostly because my mother and grandmother were
Mm,
obsessed with those things.
mine as well.
And I found those choose your own adventure Goosebump stories at yard sales, and I was like, Yes.
It was a video
Um,
game in a book form. It could make
yes.
me
Yep.
read, and I
Yep.
did the Peter Griffin from Family Guy thing where I keep my finger on the page just in case I didn't like what I was reading. Then you flip back real quick, like
Yes.
my finger didn't
Yep.
leave the
Yep.
page, Les. You've seen it,
Yep.
and
If
I
I
love
if
those.
I died, I was going back, obviously,
Which
because
I think is fine. You're just supposed to be reading words.
who wouldn't? Yeah.
That's my favorite. That actually is my favorite Goosebumps memories. Is it was very conducive to a choose your own ending book. I totally interrupted you though. I'm sorry, but I'm glad we share that in common. Those are very important to me.
Yeah. Absolutely fantastic. I really think that like that option or opportunity was really formative to my reading experience because
Mm-hmm.
I
Same.
that was the first time I had ever encountered anything like that. And of course, as Sean hinted at already, the read your own adventure books is a very much like clearly that is a video game inspired like without video games you would not have read your own adventures like because that is a very
A
um
literal text adventure.
yep it is a literal structured adventure event that can happen in video games and happens all the time but you don't normally get them in books. So putting that in book form in the like in the 90s and the early 2000s, I feel like was really formative to me appreciating the way video games work. I don't know about you, Sean, but
No, same, same.
I think if I did not have those choose your own adventures, and it's only because of my age, if I had had video games first and then went to choose your own adventures, I'd be like, cool, sure. But because I had choose your own adventures and then went to video games, that made the video games more exciting because the choose your own adventures was so much, there weren't a lot of them. And then when I got like that video game influenced cultural text in an actual video game, I was like, wow, this is everything. And then the rest is history because video games suck you in because they're great. Um, yeah.
I will note these were probably most likely these were not like the first choose your own adventures, but I'm willing to bet that they were pretty early on in like choose your own adventures with like a popular franchise or in
Yep.
popular culture. I'm willing to bet that. I bet before this it was probably not that. It was certainly my first experience with them. I loved them. Same again with the TV show. I know Alone in the Are You Afraid of the Dark? You know, kind of what already existed in the young children horror or whatever, but that was TV. I don't know that there was other super horror books that kind of fit this mold. And so just a few other things I wanted to note though is that maybe Are You Afraid of the Dark walked so Goosebumps could run. They a few things is that R.L. Stine was hyper formulaic. He had like a very specific, because like every good story's got a good middle and a beginning, a good middle, and a good twist. And I think that's one of his like common quotes. And so everything's very twisty, and he writes that way, and he just churned these things out like crazy. I don't want to go too much into the details because I'm not an expert, but if you like this stuff and you like Goosebumps, go search Wizard in the Bruiser is a podcast I listen to all the time, and they have a great Goosebumps episode, and I'm sure you can find other great Goosebumps episodes. So go check those out. Go check out the Fear Street movies on Netflix. So Fear Street was like R.L. Stine, I think maybe pre Goosebumps or right when he was just starting somewhere in there, and he was trying to write more teen horror. And now Netflix has these three movies, these three Fear Street movies that they released, and they are decent. I'll give them decent. So go check those out. And then I think the last thing I will say is that some of my favorites included. I wrote down The Night of the Living Dummy because that had this Slappy the Dummy who was kind of the
Oh,
mascot, if you will. And there were a couple of books and a couple of movies.
terrifying.
We had the third movie, and I liked a couple of the books too. And
So
then
scary.
Welcome to Horrorland was a fun book and episode. I said movie episodes. Welcome to Horrorland was a fun book and a fun episode. It had kind of a different twist on it. And then A Night in Terror Tower, where that one just stuck out because we just did Tower of Terror Pokemon last week, and that struck me as
It
kind of funny.
it's important to know he's still writing.
He is.
R.L.
He is.
Stein, R.L. Stein is still doing stuff. He's 78 years old, but still kicking stuff out. So you know what? If you guys if you liked R.L. Stein as a kid, don't let that stop you. Read it now. Read whatever you like.
And
He's still stuff out. He's still great. He has a lot of amazing perspectives about writing scary things for kids and also just horror in general. So check him out because it doesn't matter what age you are, and I feel very strongly about that. It doesn't matter what age you are. Just enjoy what you enjoy.
If we
He's
had to
great.
choose,
He's great forever.
if we
So
had to choose your own adventure R.L. Stine book right now, I would go live stream read my way through it. I would do it right this instant. I wish I had one. Maybe I'll find one. I'm gonna tie two real quick things together. Is that the Fear Street movies, which they are horror, but they're not really scary because it's Netflix and it's kind of geared at teens ish, so they're not really scary. But just what introduced me to that idea was Dead Meat, was that Poke Jason we talked about a few episodes ago. He covered these three Fear Street movies, and then I did go out and watch them, and you can see the R.L. Stine inner workings there. Like it's easy to tell, like, oh yeah, I can see that he created these back in the day, back before he had his formula down in a slightly different age group, but just tremendous.
yep, yep.